Austin right where we want them. And sure enough, Monday night they come back. So tonight we're going to hammer them. You heard it here first.
Okay. We're going to hold you to it, Brian.
Sure.
All right.
Okay, Chair DeBreen, apologies for the delay, but the live stream is working now.
You know what, Leisha, it's all good. Technology is wonderful that we're able to join as we are today. Today is April 24th, 2024, and we are meeting as the Committee of Adjustment. I will call the meeting to order at 9:04 a.m. My name is Barbara DeBreen, and I'm the chairperson of the Committee of Adjustment. The committee members include members of council. However, we all sit at this table as the Committee of Adjustment and not as members of council. Our jurisdiction lies solely with matters of consents and minor variance applications. The secretary of the committee is Alicia Milne. Welcome, everyone. This is a hearing to consider applications for minor variances and consents within the Township of Southgate and is held under the provisions of the Planning Act 1990. This hearing will be in accordance with the Provincial Planning Act, the Municipal Act, and the Township of Southgate official plan. May I get confirmation of the agenda, please? A mover and seconder. Brian and Martin. Any questions, additions? No. Any opposed? Seeing no hands, that is carried. Declaration of pecuniary interest. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing no hands or hearing nothing from the committee members, I will remind everyone that they can declare it at any time if something should arise throughout the meeting. I need a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes from the previous meeting. Martin, Joan, thank you. Any errors or omissions? Any opposed? That is carried. I will ask that anyone speaking about an application to state their full name and address for the record. Please keep all remarks relevant to the consent or minor variance application before us, as the Committee of Adjustment has no jurisdiction on any other matters. Any materials submitted to the committee for viewing will remain the property of the Committee of Adjustment and will be available for public viewing in the application file and may be placed online. Please direct all remarks and questions to the chair of the committee. This will enable the hearing to be conducted in an organized manner. A4-24, Kevin Martin. The purpose of the minor variance is to reduce required minimum distance separations for a proposed barn addition with bedded pack manure storage as follows. 1, from the 29 meters required separation from the Gray Road 9 road allowance to a 22-meter separation from the road allowance, and from 146-meter required separation from the nearest residential dwelling to 60 meters minimum from the nearest dwelling. The effect of the rezoning is to permit construction of a barn addition with a 22-meter separation from the Gray Road 9 road allowance and 60-meter separation from the nearest residence. Location of the subject lands are Concession 2, Lot 28, Geographic Township of Egremont, Civic Address 391708, Gray Road 109. Is there a request for deferral or withdrawal of the application, Alicia?
There have been none received.
All right, we can proceed. May I have clarification that the sign was posted?
Yes, Chair DeBreen, the sign was posted and notice was given in accordance with the Planning Act. I would just make a quick note. There was an error on the notice noting that it was an application for consent and the property to be severed will be marked by a sign. This was included in the notice in error. The purpose and effect on the notice are correct, which explains the intent of the application. And in consultation with our planning consultant, Bill White, and with the clerk, we feel that it's still appropriate to move forward with the application.
Wonderful. Thank you for the clarification, Alicia. I will now ask the planner, Bill White, to review all comments received and present his staff report. Welcome, Bill. And Victoria is on the line
Good
as well.
morning. Thank you, Chair DeBreen. The County of Grey, the Historic Saugeen Métis, the Township Public Works, and the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority all provided comments. The County of Grey did not object to the application. Their transportation committees are suggesting a 75-foot setback from the county road. I believe this would be achieved. It's a 100-foot, 30-meter setback. Southgate Public Works had no objections, nor did the Saugeen Métis, and or the Conservation Authority. They believe it's compliance with provincial policy as far as natural hazards and the Conservation Authority's mandate.
Is that it?
That's the agency comments, yes. Did you want me
Okay.
to carry on to the report?
Oh,
Or?
yes, please carry
No.
on, Bill.
Sorry, there's the applicant, I guess, in between me and the comments.
I'm just following the script. It says that Bill White will review all comments received and present his staff report.
Okay, so my apologies.
That's okay.
It's earlier here, so
Thank you for joining us from wherever you are, Bill.
the property has been adequately described as far as location, and the minor variances reduce the minimum distance separation for the barn addition and the manure storage, as well as the separation from the Grey Road 9 road allowance. There is an existing barn in the location already. The intent is to replace that barn with a bigger barn. Obviously, there isn't compliance with the MDS setback now. And when you look at the farm cluster, this is a long, narrow lot, so there really isn't another location that would be suitable for the proposed barn. The township official plan allows for small reductions to the MDS requirement where there's enough reasons to do so. The county has looked at it as well, and they believe that there is sufficient reason to allow for a variance in this case. We're not proposing, there's no lot creation proposed in this situation. And so we're certainly supporting the more intensive use of the agricultural property. I believe there is a letter or a note on file from the neighbor who would be impacted by the MDS reduction, and there's no opposition from that neighbor. And also a street view of the property, you really can't see a lot of the operation from the county road. That's not necessarily the best barrier for the MDS requirement, but it is a visual barrier as well. So on the course of considering the application and the size and configuration of the farm cluster and the lot itself, we believe the variance could be considered minor, desirable for the appropriate development and use of the property, and maintaining the intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. And we would recommend the variance be approved, subject to it applying to the proposed barn expansion shown in the applicant's site plan.
Thank you, Bill. Is the applicant in attendance? And if so, would they like to come forward and present their case? If so, please unmute and state your name. Hearing none, I'll carry on. Do any of the members of the committee have any questions at this time?
Madam Chair, I believe Mr. Martin was trying to speak there, but he's not, his microphone's not working.
Oh,
At least I couldn't hear him.
Yeah, Cleon, we can't hear you on this end.
You take your headset off, Leon? That's usually the issue. Like unplug it. No, that's not working.
Your microphone must have been talking to my water pump this morning because neither one of them are working.
maybe, Cleon, if you wanna disconnect and come back in, try again, and we can, if maybe Chair Dobreen, if members have comments, we can, or questions, we can do that part right now.
Yes, certainly. We can circle back if Mr. Martin would like to try to reconnect. All right. Are there any questions from the committee at this time? Monica?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. Just through you, Chair, to Bill, just to the point of the visual barrier effectiveness. I was just taking a look at that and just wondering that how effective is the natural visual barrier provided by trees and grade changes, minimizing the visual impacts of the barn from the street and nearby residential properties? Because I understand that you mentioned that it's not the best, but how effective is it?
Bill?
Through you, Chair Dobreen, I guess I couldn't measure that empirically, I suppose. The intent of MDS, as I see it, is primarily related to possible smell from the barn. So I guess it's probably limited. It's more related to wind and so forth. So I can't really state empirically how effective it is or not. I guess it's effective enough that the neighbor has no concerns. And I guess you expect a certain amount of impact when you live in an area like many people do with the kind of operations that we need to have in in the municipalities. So that's not a very good answer, but at least there is a visual and grade change barrier there. And to the degree that you can't see the operation very well from the street, I would think that would help.
Can I follow up?
Certainly.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bill. I certainly appreciate that. And just to the point of impact on neighbors, although the nearest residential neighbor has expressed support for the variance, just wondering if there was any potential with the mentioning of the odor, if there was any measures in place that could help mitigate any potential negative impacts on other neighboring residents or properties, if they should arise.
Mm-hmm. If through the chair, I suppose it would be operational. I guess the applicant might answer that question if they do things at certain periods of time or when the wind is certain directions and so forth. I don't know the operation well enough to really offer a valid comment on that.
Okay, thank you.
I would have to say that this is an operation that has been continuing or operating for some time in an agricultural area, and odors happen. But certainly the neighbors would work that out, I guess. Are there any other questions from the committee? Okay. Are there any others in attendance that would like to speak in opposition of this application?
Can anyone hear me now?
We can, yes.
All right, Cleon Martin, the applicant for the case before us here.
Yes, welcome.
Through you, Chair, to the previous Committee of Adjustment members' comments. As you said, this is an agricultural operation scaling up, only slightly in size. Odor impacts are already in place and will not scale up at all, if any. That would be my comment as to the mitigating measures in place. This agricultural operation will not increase in an odor factor to any measurable scale at all.
Thank you. Mr. Martin, did you want to add anything with regard to your application at this time?
I do not. I'm simply here to answer any questions that any committee member may have.
We do appreciate it. Thank you. Are there any others in attendance that would like to speak in support of this application? Hearing none, I'll ask, I will ask again if the committee members have any more questions. Martin.
Thanks, Chair. Not really a question, comment more than anything. When I first started reading the report, the difference like from 140 to 60, there was quite a big change in the meters, and really bad pun here. It was nothing to sniff at. So I kind of looked all the reports. Grey County, I was interested to see that it states the municipality should not reduce the MDS through minor variances, but then it gave 4 bullets for the rationale. And it looks like, even looking at the footprint of the barn and the layout, they don't, it doesn't seem like they have much choice. So with that being said, the county is not concerned. The property owner across the road is not concerned. Can I make a motion to move to grant right now, or is that later, Barb?
Yep, that's the next thing on the list. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
I will take Martin as moving to grant the application, and I need a seconder. Brian. Be it resolved that the Committee of Adjustment receive staff report PL 2024-028 for information, and that the application for minor variance be approved, granted, subject to the following condition: that the proposed variance applies to proposed barn expansion as outlined in the submitted site plan. And that is the motion on the floor. Are there any opposed? Seeing no hands, that application is granted. The decision of the Committee of Adjustment is to grant the application, and the applicant shall have 2 years in which the conditions must be met. We'll move on to the next file.
Chair DeBreen.
Yes.
Sorry, I would just make mention that Member Rice has joined the meeting.
Oh, terrific. Welcome, Jason.
Thanks. I was a couple minutes late, but I'm here now. Yeah.
Great. Well, that's all that matters right now. All right. The next application is A5-24 Timothy Fry. The purpose of the minor variance is to permit construction of a proposed addition to an existing barn within a 10.66 meter side yard to the Southgate Road 22 side lot line. The 20-meter side yard to an improved street is required in the Agricultural 1 zone. The variance is also requested on the location A variance is also requested on the location of the Environmental Protection Zone boundary to remove it from the farm cluster so that it corresponds with the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority regulated area. The effect of the minor variance is to permit an addition north and west of the existing barn within the farm cluster area with a side yard 9.34 meters less than the required setback to Southgate Road 22. Location of the subject land: Concession 1, SWTSR, part lots 221 and 222, Geographic Township of Prouton, civic address 772410, Highway 10. Is there a request for deferral or withdrawal of the application, Alicia?
Through the chair, there have been none received.
Thank you. May I please have clarification that the sign was posted?
Yes, Chair DeBreen, the sign was posted and notice was given in accordance with the Planning Act. I would also note that this notice has the same error mentioned for the previous file, that it was an application for consent and it would be marked by property to be severed would be marked by a sign. But again, the purpose and the effect outline the proposal for the minor variance. So again, in consultation with Bill White and the clerk, we decided it was appropriate to move forward.
Okay. Well, thank you. We'll now ask Planner Bill White to review the comment.
Thank you, Chair DeBreen.
Yeah, go ahead, Bill. Sorry, there was, it looks like we've lost a few callers, but it's muted now. Okay. Go ahead, Bill.
We had comments from 5 agencies in this case. Bell Canada happened to comment on this one. They had no objections. Similarly, County of Grey had a very short letter with no objections to the application, as well as the historic Saugeen Métis. Southgate Public Works advised there could be safe access to the property and had no other comments as far as road widening. It is a load restricted road according to their comments. The Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority had no objections. They believe the application is consistent with provincial policy statement and local planning policies for natural hazards. They've also indicated that they understand the difference between the zoning mapping and the official plan mapping, and they're not requiring a permit from the applicant for the proposed addition. That would be a fill and construction permit. It's not required because the hazard is not actually present in the location it's shown on our zoning maps. As far as the planning report, we've looked at this application as well. It's an interesting property with, I should note that there were no comments from Ministry of Transportation on this application. The ministry is using a new portal where we fill in, I believe Victoria fills in all the information on the applications, and they're endeavoring to comment in time, but they have not provided any comments on this application through their portal, despite being requested to do so. So we have to take that as a no comment. As I mentioned, the property is at Highway 10 and Southgate Side Road 22. Southgate Side Road 22 is a load restricted road that ends at a farm to the southwest of this property. On this property, there is an existing on-farm diversified use that was zoned for some time back. And there is a barn constructed there that's already closer than the setback required from the township road. We've shown in the drawing in the first page the location of the hazard boundary according to township mapping, and you can see there's quite a finger of environmental protection zone coming out past the on-farm diversified use into the intersection of Highway 10 and Southgate Road 2. But when you look at the topography of the site, it really maybe old drainage or something like that was there. And on page 2 of the report, there's also a little snip of the official plan mapping, and it doesn't show that same extension of the hazard land into the corner of the property. So as far as the variance on the location of the hazard mapping or the environmental protection mapping, you can certainly see how that makes sense, that to allow for this barn addition that is proposed. The issue that is a little more interesting to deal with is the setback from the township road allowance. We did put a street view into the property, and you can see the on-farm diversified use is already projecting quite close to the street. When you look at the farm cluster, again, this is another one where they're either putting the addition closer to the highway or closer to a township road that doesn't go through. Again, looking at the farm cluster and the location of the buildings on the property and how things are oriented, we felt there was sufficient grounds to say that the variance could be considered minor, desirable for the appropriate development of the lands, and maintaining the intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. And we're recommending its approval, again, for the barn addition as outlined in the site plan.
Thank you, Bill. Is the applicant in attendance? And if so, would they like to come forward and present their case or add anything to the file?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Hello.
Hello, it's Solomon Martin.
Hello. Welcome.
Yes, I don't really have anything to add more than what Bill had said, I don't think. Just here to answer questions.
Thank you. Do any of the members of the committee have any questions at this time? Well, seeing no hands and hearing nothing from Jason, Are there any members in attendance, or are there any others in attendance that would like to speak in support of this application? Is there anyone present that would like to speak in opposition of this application? I'll ask again if there's any questions from the committee. Martin.
Thank you, Chair. I guess to Bill, when I'm looking on page 1 of 3 of your report, where it does show that finger coming up to the intersection, and then looking at the other one of your report where it has the little circle showing a heck of a lot less of the hazard land. How would that's quite a bit to move away. I was just wondering, which is the newest one? Is it the one for the township official plan, or just that's quite a big chunk of land? Not that I'm opposed to it. I was just a question after looking at it right now. So is it possible to answer that, Bill? Like, why the huge discrepancy between hazard lands?
Sure.
From two different sources, I guess that's what I'm saying.
Sure. Through the chair
Thank you,
to the member, the official plan mapping is actually newer. This is a fairly common problem, I understand, as far as the zoning maps relative to the official plan maps. And so I think they've been, in the past, just relying on the official plan maps as being more accurate. Unfortunately, my feeling is that the zoning maps are the ones that you need to go with. And since they were applying for the variance anyway, that they could deal with that in this application at the same time. But yeah, I believe Solomon has run into this fairly regularly in the past, that for whatever reason, the EP zoning maps are a little more aggressive than the official plan maps, but the official plan maps are newer.
Thank you.
Okay. Alicia, if you could stop sharing your screen for a moment so I could see everyone. Thank you. I do want to add that when an application comes forward where a permit might be required by the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, and they go out and visit a site, they often ground truth the hazard mapping and will update the mapping. So that's possible. I'm just going to ask if there are any other questions from other members of the committee. Seeing no hands, may I have a mover and seconder to grant, refuse, or defer the application?
Barb, I'll
Brian?
move to accept it.
Okay, Jason is moving to grant. Brian, will you second that? Okay. So I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Committee of Adjustment receives staff report PL 2024-029 for information, and that the application for minor variance be approved subject to the following condition: that the proposed variance applies to proposed barn expansion as outlined in the submitted site plan. And I'm thinking that was the same condition before, so I just wanted to make sure I was reading the right one. Thank you very much. And are there any opposed to granting the application? Seeing no opposition, the decision of the Committee of Adjustment is to grant the application with the conditions as outlined. The applicant shall have 2 years in which the conditions shall be met. I do have to just plug in my computer before here we go. Got power now. All right, we'll just carry on to the next file, which is B2-24. I'm just opening the file. Manessa Martin. The purpose of the application B224 is to sever the subject lands into two proposed farm lots as follows. Severed lot plus or minus 323.91 meters frontage on Southgate Side Road 71, plus or minus 1,009 meters depth along Gray Road 9, is irregular in shape, plus or minus 40.6 hectares lot area, and contains an existing on-farm diversified use. The retained lot, plus or minus 279.25 meters frontage on Southgate Side Road 71, plus or minus 725 meters average lot depth, and plus or minus 20.1 hectares lot area. The effect of proposed consent application B2-24 is to split the subject lands into two farm parcels, with the retained lot having less than the minimum lot area required in the Agricultural 1 zone. Location of the subject land, Concession 4, SWTSR Lot 231 and 233, Geographic Township of Proton, Civic Address 180032, Gray Road 9. Is there a request for deferral or withdrawal of the application?
Through the chair, there have been none received.
May I have clarification that the sign was posted and notice was given?
Yes, Chair DeBreen. The sign was posted and notice was given in accordance with the Planning Act.
I'll now ask Planner Bill White to review all comments received and present his staff report. Bill, you're muted.
Muted, Bill.
My apologies.
There you are.
Hello. County of Gray has reviewed the proposed severance and has no concerns with the application. They have looked at the lot size and so forth. Enbridge Gas had no comments. Neither did Historic Saugeen Métis. Southgate, County of Gray did advise that they would require road widening, I believe, as a condition of the severance, as did Public Works, I believe. They had also asked for road widening. So that if the committee chooses to approve the application, those would be conditions. Hydro One had no objections to the application. Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority reviewed it as far as section 3.1 of the provincial policy statement and local policies for natural hazards. And they are saying that the proposed structures that are likely to be built would not require a permit from the SVCA at this time. As far as the planning report, the subject property has been described as far as the location at the intersection of Southgate Side Road 71 and Gray Road 9. This is a proposal to create a severed parcel that has slightly or 20.1 hectares of lot area. The official plan for the township does allow for a minimum farm size use of 20 hectares, and this severed lot would exceed that minimum farm size requirement. It's interesting, though, that the township zoning bylaw sets the minimum lot area at 40 hectares. So when we have these farm severances in appropriate locations where they're allowed, rural designations, the official plan would allow the 20 hectare farm parcel as far as a policy direction, but the zoning bylaw does not have that similar lot area requirement. So one of the conditions, if committee chooses to approve this, would also be the rezoning of the severed parcel to comply with the lot area requirements. This is a rural designation in the official plan, so it allows for one lot to be created per original 40 hectare parcel. This one's slightly bigger than that. There does not appear to be any other parcels previously created from the site. So we've reviewed it as far as section 7.2 2 of the official plan, which has criteria for creating new lots, and it has adequate frontage on a public street so that safe access can be provided. The lot configuration is appropriate for the proposed setup of the farms, and the drainage courses running across the property do not impact on the site locations where buildings are to occur. We're recommending approval subject to the required lot area application under the Planning Act, standard conditions that have come forward on parkland dedication, driveway access. I would add road widening in there, a reference plan of survey being provided, and that any outstanding financial requirements of the township be met before the deed is allowed to be created. That's our recommendation.
Thank you, Bill. And I just want to clarify that when I read the purpose, I indicated the severed lot was the 40.6 hectare, but that would be the retained parcel, and the severed parcel is the smaller of that to be 20.1 on Southgate Road 71. Just to clarify.
If I may, Madam Chair, that appears to go back to the application itself, which had them kind of transposed. So, but
nope. Thank you.
Okay.
As long as we're all on the same page, the severed parcel is the 20.1 hectare.
Mm-hmm.
Is the applicant in attendance and would like to come forward and state their case? Please state your name.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, it's Solomon Martin again. I have nothing to add, I don't think. Just here to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you. Do any members of the committee have any questions at this time? Not seeing any hands. Are there any others in attendance that would like to speak in support of this application? Is there anyone present that would like to speak in opposition of this application? I'll ask again if there are any questions from the committee at this time. May I request a mover and seconder to grant, refuse, or defer the application? Brian? You're muted.
I'll move to grant.
Thank you. Got to get a seconder. Monica? Be it resolved that the Committee of Adjustment receives staff report PL 2024-030 for information, and that the severance be approved with the following conditions: that the appropriate Planning Act application be approved and in full force and effect to recognize the deficient lot area for the proposed severed lot; that standard conditions regarding parkland dedication, driveway access, and road widening, we'll add that in, Alicia, and similar apply as recommended by other agencies and township departments, including that all requirements of the township, financial or otherwise, be addressed to the satisfaction of the township staff prior to issuance of the certificate of consent, that a reference plan of survey be provided, and that all taxes, fees, and charges are paid, if any. If I may just ask a question, should there also be stated that zoning amendment, should that be included? You mentioned that it would require a zoning amendment, Alicia.
Through the chair, that's item number 1, but we can change the verbiage to specify that it's a zoning application.
Okay.
If you would like.
Thank you. If that covers it, the appropriate Planning Act application be approved and in full force and effect to recognize, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. And are there any opposed? I see no hands. That is carried. The decision of the Committee of Adjustment is to refuse the is to grant the application with the conditions as stated. The applicant shall have 2 years in which the condition must be met. Go to the next file. Okay, the purpose of, this is B1-24, Paul H. Shirk. The purpose of the application B1-24 is to sever the subject lands into two proposed farm lots as follows. The severed lot being plus or minus 484 meters frontage on Gray Road 14, plus or minus 385 meters depth, and plus or minus 18.5 hectares lot area. And the retained lot being plus or minus 385 meters frontage on Southgate Road 12, plus or minus 523 meters depth along Gray Road 14, and plus or minus 20 hectares lot area. Excuse me. The effect of the proposed consent application B1-24 is to split the subject lands into two farm parcels with less than the minimum lot area required in the agricultural 1 zone. Notice of rezoning application C4-24 issued separately for a pending public meeting to address minimum lot area required in the zoning bylaw. Location of subject land is concession 9, lot 13. Geographic Township of Proton, civic address 112017, Gray Road 14. Is there a request for deferral or withdrawal of the application?
Through the chair, there have been none received.
Thank you. Alicia, may I have clarification that the sign was posted and notice was given?
Yes, so just to clarify, this application was heard at the previous meeting. And the sign was posted and notice was given in accordance with the Planning Act. Due to this being brought back for procedural matters, notice didn't have to be provided again.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll now ask the planner, Bill White, to review all comments received and present his staff report. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you, Chair DeBreen. I'm just making sure I'm not muted. Okay, good. The County of Gray did provide an extensive letter on the proposed severance. They've gone through their density calculations in their official plan, and they've noted that this would be in compliance with that. They've gone through the natural heritage issues that are associated with it, and they had no concerns with that application from that perspective. I didn't see any comments or concerns from county transportation, obviously, with this one. As far as Enbridge Gas, Saugeen Métis, Hydro One, there was no objection to those, to the application as well. Public Works Department noted this was, the county road was not load restricted, but the township, Southgate Road 12 was, and that they're requesting road widening along Southgate Road 12. There are two staff reports on the agenda. The first staff report, I guess, which is actually the second one staff wrote, deals with the procedural matters around the application. Because the committee did not pass a resolution to approve it, it was a tied vote, and did not come back to consider a resolution to deny. We had a look at it with the clerk and legal advice, and they suggested that the matter be brought forward again. And in the decision, the Secretary Treasurer has put in two potential decisions for the committee, one to approve and one to deny the application. So that's the indication in the first planning report. The second planning report was the one issued for the first meeting, and it looks at the location of the property, which is at the intersection of the county road and Southgate Road 12. The two parcels, this is a rural and an agricultural designation, but the severed lot is actually within the rural designation in the official plan, and that makes a difference because traditionally what Southgate has done, where there's double designations on the property, is allow for the policies in the rural designation to apply to the severed lot. And so that makes sense from an interpretation perspective. So this is, again, one original township lot. For some reason, it's slightly smaller than the a typical size. So the parcels come out under, the one parcel comes out under 20 hectares. But as the county points out in their report and in the rural designation in our official plan, there can be a smaller lot in a rural designation. The intent here is to provide 2 farm-related parcels as a result of the severance. So we've looked through as far as the configuration of the lots, the fact that it complies with the county density requirements, that a smaller lot would actually be allowed at 0.8 hectares in area or bigger, and that this one exceeds that requirement. And looking at the lay of the land and the intent of the application, we were able to make a recommendation in support, subject to 2 conditions. The first one, that the zoning of the 2 parcels be addressed to the satisfaction of the, it would be council who would make those decisions, likely on the rezoning of the, to comply with the lot area requirement. Again, the official plan for viable farm parcels talks about minimum 20 hectares. The one parcel is under 20 hectares, but because this is a rural designation, that's actually not an issue from a policy perspective. Other standard conditions would relate to road widening, parkland dedication, driveway access, and such, including any township financial conditions that need to be met before a certificate of consent is issued. So those are the 2 planning reports, one related to procedure and one related to the application itself, which was given in March when this was first heard.
Thank you, Bill. And I will note that at that time we had an even number of the committee, and even it might have actually been the same had we changed the resolution to grant. So refuse or grant, it might still has resulted in a tie vote. Hopefully we don't have that issue today.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like we have full complement. Do any of the members of the committee have any questions? Seeing no hands, is the applicant in attendance? And if so, would they care to come forward to present their case? Just unmute and state your name.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you, Mr. Shirk.
Yeah, I'm Eli Shirk, the applicant, and here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any others in attendance that would like to speak in support of this application? Are there any others in present that would like to speak in opposition of the application? I will note, so I'll go back to the committee members. Is there a requirement for further discussion? Then I'll note that in the later or the more recent staff report, there are 2 recommendations. One is to refuse and one is to approve. Each has their own conditions. Brian?
I will move to approve.
The motion, I need a seconder. I'll read it, that the application for consent file B124 be approved subject to the following conditions: that the existing zoning of the severed and retained parcel be addressed through an application for relief on lot area and any other site and building regulations. And 2, that the standard conditions regarding parkland dedication, driveway access, and similar apply as recommended by other agencies and township departments, including that all requirements of the township, financial or otherwise, be addressed to the satisfaction of the township staff prior to issuance of a certificate. Could I get a seconder? Monica. Are there any opposed? Seeing no other hands, that is carried. The decision of the Committee of Adjustment is to grant the application with the conditions as outlined. The applicant shall have 2 years in which the conditions must be met. The notice of decisions from today's meeting will be signed electronically by members and distributed accordingly per the Planning Act. The committee decisions may be appealed pursuant to Section 17D of the Planning Act within 20 days of the date of the notice to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Could I get a motion to adjourn? Monica. Joan, do you want to second that? Great. That is 9:53 a.m. Any opposed to adjourning?